Brian Kellett.
And Jeremy's also here, who is our store manager in Lancaster. Jeremy, if you want to say hi.
Hello, good morning.
So Brian and I are going to start off and just tell you a little bit about our journey bringing Stump to what it is today. We started about 6 years ago. And then after we talk a little bit about that, then Jeremy's actually in the Lancaster store right now. So we'll pass it over to him and he can maybe give you a little tour and tell you more about like the in-store experience. So yeah.
Is it on our?
I think so.
Okay. So we started, it'll be 6 years this weekend. I'm from the Lancaster, Canal, Winchester area. I went to school at Bloom Carroll. But our first shop, we opened 6 years ago in Columbus. And gosh, kind of where it came from is when Emily and I first met, she was on a project looking at the future of garden retail shops and what works, what doesn't, and the direction of what it might go in the future. And kind of pretty quickly, we're like, well, we need to make shops that are smaller and then focus on one-on-one interaction with our customers. So when you come in the door, we want to make sure that we have the ability to answer all your houseplant questions, and our team is trained to answer all our customers' houseplant questions, and that the space will allow that one-on-one interaction as opposed to a really big garden center. It's just almost impossible to give everyone that point, touch in, how are you doing, what's your questions.
And so when I was working on the project and when Brian and I first met, neither of us really had houseplants, but we liked the idea of having plants and interacting with plants and maybe even having a garden. But when we thought about it, we were like, well, most of the people that we know, our friends and peers, don't have homes with land to be able to have a garden or be able to do landscaping or plant even perennials and annuals in their yard. But most people are more living in urban environment, and everyone has at least a windowsill that we can think of. So we were like, let's just focus on houseplants and then really just try to simplify it and make the process of buying plants and taking care of them easier and more accessible for people who might think they have a black thumb, because we hear that a lot in the stores.
Mm-hmm. And then the other side of the equation are the planters. So we have kind of 3 main lines of pottery. All is made, 98% is made either in Ohio or by artists or in Columbus, which is Ohio, but almost everything is made in the US. So our one main line of pottery is made by Burley. They're in Roseville, so south of Zanesville. When we first started, they had this wonderful line of pottery, and about 6 months after we started buying from them, they're like, we're gonna stop producing it. We're gonna get everything from overseas. And we're like, well, that's not really what we want. So we started working with them, and it took several years, but we started working with them to design kind of our own line of very simple, clean shapes. So they produce that line of pottery, and Jeremy will kind of show that when he shows you the shop. And then after that, we have a line of kind of 2 different sizes of planters that have a drip tray that Emily designed. Her background is product design. That's what she went to school for. Those are made in Columbus by a studio called Kiln Room. And then we have a bunch of different artists all over the country that make kind of a different level of ceramics.
Mm-hmm. So where that kind of came from is when I went in school for industrial design, I always thought product design would be a really cool thing to go into. But the more I learned about it, the more I realized a lot of product design is just redesigning things for I don't know, things like toasters and coffee makers that encourage people to buy a new one every year, so it'll be on trend or whatever, and a lot of it just ends up in the landfill. So that's where we were like, we want to make sure that as much as we can, the materials that we're using and selling to our customers are at least sustainable materials and things that aren't going to be around for years and years after, after you're done with them. So that's kind of the thought behind that. And we really like pride ourselves on being able to offer like local pottery and sustainably made pots for the most part as best we can.
After that, I guess kind of the progression, we're actually in Milwaukee right now. We're opening a shop here. People are always kind of interested about, this will be location number 8. We own the whole company. We don't have investors. Kind of how it happened was a lot of peer pressure along the way. Our second location, if you are in Columbus, there's a coffee shop called Fox in the Snow. About a little over a year after we opened the first location, the owners of Fox in the Snow were like, hey, we do a second one in Durham Village. So we opened the second location in Durham Village, which gave us a little bit of confidence of like hiring other people and kind of started to build our team. And then the third location is in Philadelphia. And that we have friends out there that were like, hey, like, it'd be great if you could make a shop here. And one thing led to another, and we're like, okay, we'll just give it a shot, which was real scary. But kind of along the way, like we live in Savannah, Georgia. In that shop, we were just literally passing through town because all the plants are either grown in California, Florida, or some are grown in Ohio. But we were just passing through town, saw the space, and now like we do all this, like the build outs ourselves, along with a couple of our team members. So that kind of brings us to Lancaster and the why behind Lancaster. So again, I grew up there, like spent a lot of time at Miller Skate Park, and just loved so much of the town, and a lot of my friends and family are still there. Brian and Amanda Everett are really good friends of ours. Brian has, I've known him since growing up. My stepbrother and him were like best buddies. And he actually he's our attorney as well. He was the one, 6.5 years ago, was like, guys, come down. We're going to meet at, I think it was Shaw's at the time. You're going to sign your LLC paperwork, and we're going to, like, you got this. You're going to figure it out. So in the same way that he did that, him and Amanda were like, someday you're going to move, you're going to have a shop in Lancaster. And we were like, okay, cool. Find the space. So we started looking at, before Matt Brady actually owns the shop space. But before Matt purchased it, we were talking with the past owner, and things were just kind of slow. So as soon as Matt purchased the building, Amanda let me know, and I've known Matt Brady for a long time through other projects, and we're like, let's do it. So we were so excited to be in the space, and we were so fortunate and blessed, I guess, that Amanda introduced us to Jeremy. He's been an amazing team member. His laugh and smile is contagious. And we have heard so many wonderful things about the customer service that he offers. So Jeremy, if you want to introduce yourself or start talking about what you do.
Yep, my name is Jeremy, and I am the shopkeeper here at Lancaster. And so I've only been with Stump since we opened. So Mother's Day weekend was my first time with Stump. Everybody who comes in, they're like, how long have you been with Stump? And I'm like, since May. And they're like, oh. So which is really cool though, because it's kind of fun because I've kind of grown with the store and kind of grown with the customers that have come in and everything like that. So it's been a really cool experience. Brian and Emily are amazing. The entire Stump family is pretty amazing. There's so many resources. Like if you have any questions, they're just a text, a phone call, sometimes a visit away, which is really cool. So you kind of build your confidence up. Because I knew a lot about plants coming in. I worked at a greenhouse in my early college years during breaks and stuff. And then I've just kind of self-taught and researched over the years and learned a little bit about plants. And I'm always the one that my friends and family call and like, what's this plant? Or what does it take? Or what does it need? So I'm kind of that go-to person within my friend and family circle. So I just kind of grown that. And then, so I thought I knew a lot about plants, but I've learned even more about plants working at Stump, which is really cool. It's a great confidence booster. You're like, yeah, okay, I know what I know about plants. This is pretty nice. So I think that we focus here at Stump on the total experience. And I think that's important because a lot of times you can go to a home improvement store, you can go to a big box store and they have a garden section or a houseplant section or something, and you can get a plant and you buy the plant and there's a little tag on it and it says, you know, water, light, all that kind of stuff. But then there's not that personal connection because everybody's house is different. Everybody's room is different. Everybody's office is different. And 9 times out of 10, you have more light than you actually think you do. Because a lot of times people come in and they're like, I have no sunlight in my house. And I'm like, oh, that's sad. But really they do. They have bright and direct light. They don't get direct sun, but you know, they can raise a plant. And there are several plants that we have that are great options for low light, you know, tolerance and things like that. So I think that's the biggest challenge as customers come in, because one of the first things that almost everybody says is, I kill everything. Okay, well, we're here to change that. That's what we're here for. We focus on the education of houseplants. We're here to help you along your journey and make you successful in that. And most of our plants are along that line, so you will be successful. And if you're not, we're only a phone call, an email, or a visit away. And so, like, if it starts to go downhill, you can come in and say, "Help! I'm not sure what's going on." And you know, we're there to help you. And we've helped a lot of people along the way. And like I said, we have so many resources within the Stump family that if we don't know the answer, we can find the answer. You know, give us a day or so, or give us a few hours. We'll definitely help you and make you successful. So we'll talk about the total experience. I'm gonna take you on a little tour. So you might want to close your eyes for a second while we're walking, and then so you don't get seasick. But we're gonna walk to the front of the store, and that's kind of where the magic starts happening. When you walk into the store, that's where you hear one of two expressions. You walk in and they're like, it smells amazing in here. What is it? And then you have to explain that it's a little bit of Palo Santo, a little bit of soil, a little bit of good air, a little bit of candle, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So it's a big combination of everything. So, but when you walk into the store, you walk into the front door here, and this is kind of your experience that you see. Like, it's so green, it's lush, it's fabulous. The sun is in my eyes. Like, and it's just great. The way Emily and Brian have set up the store is very welcoming, and it's very open, and it's very overwhelming at first, but then once you start to walk around the store, you kind of get an understanding of like, oh, okay, well, this makes sense. And so you kind of walk in, and we've got some hanging stuff, and then we have the wall here, which is really cool because we focus on curating plants. So what we've done is we've kind of created a showcase, if you will, about different plants and like the great pot that it'll go in, and you know, proportional wise, like, is it artistic, and does it look good, not just you're putting a plant in a pot. So there's a rhyme and reason for everything that we do here, which is kind of cool. And it's just kind of fun. So you can see anything on the wall that's already potted. And then once you come in, I'll let you know that if you like a plant but not the pot, we can take out the plant, put it back in a nursery pot for you, or vice versa. We can change up colors, we can change anything like that. And then while you're here in the experience, I kind of match the plant with the person or the location. So I talk about your light situation, like how much light do you have? Which directions do your windows face? All that kind of stuff. Where do you want to put your plant? Like, do you have this mindset of, oh, I need a plant in this corner? Okay, well, let's talk about that corner. What kind of light does it get? Things like that. And sometimes people don't realize, like I said before, the light situation. So what we suggest you do, or what we sometimes suggest, is go home and turn off all your lights in your room, and you know, draw your blinds or your curtains like you normally do, and take pictures. Like, take a picture at 9 in the morning, take a picture at 2, take a picture at 5 or 6, and then that way we can kind of see where the shadows are when the lights you know, falls through the window and things like that. And that way we can match that perfect plant that goes with your space and what you're wanting. So that's kind of what we do here. It's a one-on-one. which is really cool. We get to know our customers really well, and that makes them repeat customers. And then when they start coming in and they're like, oh my gosh, that plant I got here, it's growing, it's got vines coming down. And that success story is really cool to see within the customer, and kind of changing that mindset of, I kill everything. Well, you don't have to kill everything. So we're here to help along that journey. So, and then we'll talk about the pottery. As we talked about, Emily and Brian talked about the burley pots. And these are actually the line of burley that we carry. And it comes in 3 different colors. There's a white, there's a buff, which is kind of like a natural, and then the black. And it comes in all different shapes and sizes. We go all the way down to 6 inches, all the way up to 15 inches, which are some of the larger ones. There's an egg shape as well, which is kind of my favorite. It's kind of cool. It's different, very simple and very artistic, which is really neat. And those are all handmade, 100% Ohio. The clay comes from 2 miles down the road from the factory. So if you want something that's 100% Ohio for like a gift, Burley Pottery is really good for that. And it's handmade, hand glazed, all of that fun stuff, and designed by our owners, Brian and Emily Kellett. So, which is really great. And then the other line of pottery they were talking about is Kiln Room. And it's like this, very simplistic, very artistic, and very timeless as well. Like Emily was talking about, like it's gonna go with all kinds of different decors, and it's gonna be pretty simple, and the plant is gonna really shine in that because the pottery itself is pretty simple. And so then the plant has a chance to say, hey, here I am, So we have a wide range of things. We have succulents, we have cacti, we have low light tolerant plants. That's the other thing. Everybody comes in, they're like, I need something that gets no light and is super easy to take care of. So we always start with Sansevieria, which are your snake plants. Every person had a grandma that had the Sansevieria in the house. So the snake plant, the mother-in-law's tongue, whichever you want to call it. So that's always a great place to start, especially to build confidence. Because they're pretty resilient, and they thrive on neglect too. So it's always good to get a plant person started with that. And then it's kind of like you can work your way up to, a fiddle leaf fig or something like that. So ZZ plants are also the other thing that we start with too, because they're super, super easy, sorry, I keep forgetting it. We're going on a little spiral here. ZZ plants are also good. Kind of gives you a little different look. The snake plant is very straight up and down, very, rigid, but the ZZ plant has more of a flowing, branchy type look. So those are always 2 plants that I always go to first, just to kind of start the process and build their confidence within a customer and a houseplant person. So, and we also offer potting here too. So if you get a plant and you get a pot, we will pot it for you. If you have a pot at home and you buy a plant here, you can bring in your pot and we'll pot it for you too. So that's another cool thing that some of the customers are like, oh, really? If I bring in my own pot? Yeah, it's just something we do because, I enjoy potting, and anybody who works at Stump usually enjoys potting too. So, and it's easier for us to make the mess here because we have a soil table. So we can make the mess here and you don't have to mess up your living room or your kitchen or get that soil down your kitchen sink, and then you have to call the plumber because, well, I was repotting plants, sorry. So, so we can do that here. We can do fun things like that, messy things like that. It's like Christmas every Wednesday. We get shipment. Most stores get shipment. Well, most Columbus stores get shipment on Wednesday. So every Wednesday we unbox new plants, and that's a fun thing. And it's just, I don't know, it's fun. Like I tell Brian and Emily a lot. I always have to remind myself that this is my job because it's super crazy and I love it to death. And I get to play in dirt and plants all day. So, and I get paid for it. So that's even better, So it's super cool. It's super exciting I'm a huge people person. So working with the customers and I guess changing that mindset, because when they first come in, they're like, I kill everything. I can't keep anything alive. But then when they come in that second or third time and they're like, I'm ready for another plant because I kept the other one alive, it's just a really cool feeling. And I think that's what kind of Stump was based on and founded on. And that's just really cool to see that come to fruition when customers come in and have that good experience. So I think, yeah, Lancaster Shop's great. If you haven't been in, you need to stop in. It's a total experience. You can't get the whole experience through Zoom. You have to smell, you have to feel, you have to see all the different things that the Lancaster Shop has to offer, or any other shop. If you're ever in Savannah or any other locations, definitely check out a Stump. It's a different experience than you've ever had before. So I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
You're welcome.
I was just looking at the questions in the comments. So someone asked, where is the location in Columbus? We have two in Columbus. We have one in Italian Village, which is close to the Short North area. It's on 5th Avenue. And that's actually our first location that we ever opened. And then we have another location in German Village on Thurman Avenue, which is really close to Lake Schiller Park. And Thurman's is cafe, if anyone's been there.
Do you have a question, Kristen?
Yeah, so it was a beautiful plant I got for my birthday, and I don't know anything about it. And like one by one, the leaves came off. So I had put in there, if I brought a sick plant in, I love the fact, Jeremy, that you know something about plants and I could bring it. I have one leaf left. I don't know what to do.
We might just swap that one out. Those are very finicky. So
it was beautiful. Yeah, it was beautiful, but I was like, I've never seen this before. I have no idea how to take care of this plant. And it just
the one that you have, that one's called the fiddle leaf fig. So what Jeremy was talking about, the snake plant or the Sansevieria, that's kind of like the beginner plant, like on the easy spectrum, like the easy side of the spectrum. And then the fiddle leaf fig is the opposite. It's like the most difficult plant.
If you give me that pot right there. Yeah, this poor thing, if I touch it, I'm afraid it's gonna fall off. And here's another plant. This one I've been doing wonderfully with. Look how pretty she is.
Wow, that looks amazing.
So
She's right by my kitchen window. She's beautiful. I only water her once in a while. Lush. She's gorgeous. And then her brother is on the way out. He's
And something that I forgot to mention, another cool thing about Stump, and the customers love this, is we have care cards. And every plant goes home with a care card. And it tells you like how often to water, the light situation. We also write little tips and tricks down at the bottom here to help you along your way. And it's just kind of cool because you don't really get that connection at other places where you buy plants. And so that's a really cool feature that Stump has offered and is offering. And it's kind of that moment, that light bulb moment at the register when they're checking out and you fill out this care card and they're like, "You're giving me a care card that is going to tell me how to take care of it?" And I was like, yeah, that's what we do. And so that's a huge bonus at Stump. And then on the back, there's some cool, like little helpful hints and tricks just for, plants in general about light and water and things. And then when I said that we're just an email away, there's the help@stumpplants.com. That's our little email there that you can send pictures, you can send questions, we can help with diagnosis. Lots of cool
if you do email that though, I'm the one that responds. So when we're doing things like opening shops, like it might take like 10 days or 2 weeks or.
The best way to get an answer quickly is to call
In the shop,
or
yeah.
stop at the store for right now.
Exactly.
I have a question. I brought some a plant that is a ground cover from South Carolina. And I've already planted it, but I don't know what it is, but it is purple. That's the best I can tell you. How would I know? I mean, I'm expecting it to actually die off and then come back the next year since it's a ground cover, but the different temperatures from, Ohio to South Carolina is much different. So I'm not sure it's gonna make it. The other thing is that I do have a ZZ plant and it's in the right place. And the mother-in-law plant that I have is in the wrong place. I just learned today. It needs to be out of the sun, but it's still growing. So this has been amazing. So thank you. So my question is, if I bought a piece of the ground cover in, you could probably tell me what it is, but it's pretty, it's purple.
Sounds pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say if you bring in a piece of it, Jeremy might be able to tell you what it is. I might be able to tell you what it is. But if we don't know, we can consult with the rest of the Stump team, and one of us will
Okay.
probably be able to tell you what it is.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. This has been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And your Saints Ferry, your mother-in-law's tongue, it can be in direct sun. You'll just have to water it more often than if it was in low light.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's balancing.
Okay.
More light, more water.
Yeah, my ZZ is doing all kind of stuff. It's just all over the place. So, and it's in the shade, so
Oh yeah, it sounds like it's thriving.
it is. It is.
Cool. Well,
Any other questions?
I don't see any. Are you guys hiring at all locally or in Columbus? Just curious.
in Cleveland, we're hiring right now.
Oh,
And we're in the final round of interviews for Lancaster to find someone to help Jeremy out in the Lancaster store.
Yeah, how's that going, Jeremy?
Going well. So okay, I think by Saturday I'll have both final interviews under my belt, and then we'll chat and hopefully get something going. So
Yeah, but on our website, that's the best place to find like whether we're hiring or what positions we have open. Whenever we do have open positions, we'll have like a little work with us tab on the website, and then we'll have all the info under there.
fantastic. Kristen, did you have another question? There's
I
also another
did.
question in the chat too.
I did. So I got this really cute little ice.
Sharing more plants.
Jeremy, she was really tiny and she is just going straight up to the ceiling.
that's great.
Continue to
awesome.
do that? Do I like just keep putting it in bigger pots? Will it like,
When you transfer to a new pot, you don't want to go any larger than 2 inches than the current pot that it's in. That way,
Okay.
it kind of slows the process down, and it doesn't give you more soil, which promotes root rot and allows more moisture to be in there. So yeah, if you just slowly, if you see roots coming out the bottom, that's another good sign.
Okay.
Or if it's not growing anymore, that's a good time to repot it. And like I
Okay.
said, you can bring it in and I'll repot it if you want. So, and I'll give it a little spa day too. When I repot, I give it a good talking to. I do some special things to the plants that come in. So I've also given plants timeout. There's a timeout section here in the Lancaster shop that they just need a little time to themselves, and so they'll go into a corner and I'll check on them every once in a while. So sometimes they just need a good talking to. So
perfect. Yeah, she's out of control. She's just
okay.
mind of her own.
Yeah,
Not like some of my coworkers,
perfect. Yeah,
So-
definitely bring it in and we'll take care of it. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So Abby's asking if you ever do any classes.
We are hoping, yes, I'm hoping by the end of September to have the first one going. I would like to do a plant 101 at first, where we just kind of walk around the store, talk about different plants, and then kind of like helpful hints like, oh, my leaves are yellowing. What does that mean? Leaves are falling off, like the fiddle leaf fig Kristen had. Things like that, and kind of saying, that's what this means. Here's some helpful hints. And then have like, you'll pot a plant to take home for the evening or something. And then eventually I would like to get into, we have a lot of great breweries and wineries and stuff around here. So I'd like to do like pots and pints, wine and succulents, things like that. And kind of do some fun evening activities for adults and or kids. Things like that. So yeah, we're eventually going to get there. Once I get help, I think it'll be a little bit easier to help plan those nights, because I would love to plan those nights, but right now I'm doing everything by myself right now. So hopefully when we get somebody going, which should be very soon, we'll have more opportunities to plan those fun evenings and workshops and classes and stuff. So we're gonna have some fun here. So just hang tight, and once we get on that bandwagon, it's going to be pretty fun. So.
Fantastic. If anybody else has any other questions, feel free to shout them out now. If not, I think you guys seem pretty accessible, so they can always reach out to you in a couple different ways to get a hold of you. Wonderful information. My plants are alive, but the thrive is where there's like seems to be a line. They can't. Now the mother-in-law's tongue is, I forget it's here, and it loves that idea. Like It's in a room all by itself and it's just having a great time.
Sometimes you just have to find the right plants that you're compatible with, but it takes time. It's like trial and error.
Yes.
But once you find
Yes.
your plants, then you're good.
And a lot of times people think they're not thriving when they're great. So when you're in the shop and you see all the plants in the shop, those have been in a greenhouse up until probably a week or two before. So they're at the peak. They've had like a lot of light, a lot of water, a lot of fertilizer. They're like very full. They're not going to be like that in your house. So over time, they'll take on their new personalities and they'll get acclimated. People do not like this term because they're like, acclimation means that they're going to lose some weight, drop some leaves. Like, it's all right. That's part of it. So yeah, as long as it's still green and like has leaves, like, even was it Kristen's like with the one leaf?
Yeah.
Give it time, patience, like it'll come back. But
Or it'll die, Kristen, and that's okay because that's just part of life.
yeah, right, yes. And that was one thing when we started. So many garden center owners were like, "Yeah, we kill plants every day." If Jeremy showed a photo of the amount of plants that we compost on a weekly basis, you'd be like, "Whoa, okay." It's just not everything's gonna thrive. So.
I go to those garden centers and I find the discount cart, the ones that are like 75% off and it's a dying plant, and I'll get those and bring them home, and they just need a little bit of care and love, and so.
Yeah, so when you go into the shop, just ask Jeremy for the discount plants and he'll give you the one and be like, here, if you want this, you can have it. There's always a couple of those in the shop.
They're in the timeout corner, Kristen. It's okay.
Right.
Nice. So are you guys open on Labor Day?
That's Monday. So we're closed on Monday and Tuesdays.
Oh, okay. So Labor Day or no Labor Day? They're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. Fantastic.
Yep. Now, sometimes ideally, if we found the right employee who wants to work Monday and Tuesdays, then yeah, we'll open back up. But Jeremy doesn't work 7 days a week. So.
Dang, I didn't know that was a thing you could do. Like, nah, it's not for me. No thanks.
That's a company thing. So that I kind of inherited that. So
Oh.
So that's kind of a nice thing. But yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you guys did amazing. I'm sure I'll be down. I have a couple of things that are on my agenda that I'd like to speak with you about opportunities for your store. So you'll see me.
Great.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for your time and everybody's questions and Kristen's entertainment. And it's been a great time. Again, you can find this video reposted on our YouTube channel. And then again, we'll give you guys you can share this however you'd like to for your business. So I hope everybody has a wonderful day. We'll see you next Thursday. I think it's like a Picture Perfect Ranch is who we'll be talking with next. And it'll be perfect.